Good morning. And welcome to our third public hearing on the proposed millage rate. And so you understand, this is a hearing, so we will be hearing from the public today. So first we'll have a millage overview. I guess Mr. Jackson's doing it today. Okay. I thought, you don't look like Miss Cooley.
Unfortunately, she's out of town.
All right.
In 1999, the Georgia General Assembly passed the Taxpayer Bill of Rights with the intent to prevent what was referred to as the backdoor tax increases. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights and rules were developed by the Georgia Department of Revenue to implement this legislation to establish a process that all government jurisdictions, counties, cities, and boards of education must follow. The process ensures full disclosure to the public for any increases, including increases that result from value inflation. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights was established to notify the public about inflationary increases to existing property values at the local government level. It also enhanced individual property owners' rights when objecting to and appealing an increase in property appraised value to the County Board of Assessors. According to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, each taxing jurisdiction must roll back or reduce the millage rate each year to offset any inflationary increases in the tax digest. If the county or other government authority elects to set their millage rates higher than the rollback rate, then they must follow certain requirements to notify the public that taxes are being increased. The public notification process includes 3 public hearings, public notices of the increase in the local newspaper, and press releases. Each year, the Chatham County Board of Assessors establishes the taxable value of property in the county and publishes the certified tax digest for each taxing jurisdiction. The Board of Education has 2 separate taxing jurisdictions and therefore receives 2 separate tax digests, one for maintenance and operations and another for bond indebtedness. Each of the 2 taxing jurisdictions has its own millage rate, which is determined by the school board. Taxable values exist for 6 types of property: real property, personal property, vehicles, mobile homes, timber, and heavy-duty equipment. Digest values for both jurisdictions are shown on the chart. The current digest amounts and amounts for the last 5 years were published in a local newspaper as required by law. Sometimes when assessed values, property values go up, homeowners will pay more taxes, even though the school district millage rate remains unchanged or is lowered. Even though the millage rate has not gone up, taxpayers may see increased costs. This is because the value of their property has increased. In the chart presented, the red line represents the millage rate. The millage rate in the example is unchanged. As property taxes value increase in year 2, the higher tax liability is a result of increased property value. For FY24, Chatham County Public Schools recommends no millage rate change and the current millage rate of 17.631 mills. Changes in the digest value of real property, one of the 6 types of property, can take 2 forms: new construction or a reassessment of existing property. Once the assessors establish the taxable value of real property, they calculate the millage equivalent for any reassessment, subtract it from last year's millage rate, and the result becomes the rollback rate. The millage equivalent is determined by taking the value of a reassessment divided by the total digest and multiplying the result by last year's millage rate. The calculation is shown on the slide. The tentative millage rate adopted by the Board of Education for maintenance and operations exceeds the rollback rate. Here you see the 17.631 mills remains the same in the two millage rates from last year to the initial tentative rate for calendar year 2023. There is no proposed change to the millage rate. Calculation of school taxes on a home valued at $250,000 with only the state regular homestead exemption is shown on the chart above. This is an example of a property tax bill which the property value increases using the recommended millage rate of 17.631 mills. The estimated value for the county school maintenance operation tax is $1,604.72. As you can see, there's no change in the millage rate from the prior year. This is an example of a property tax bill in which the property value does not change using the 17.631 mills. The total estimated tax for county school maintenance is $1,448.16. Again, this is where there's no change in the value of that house. This is an example of a property tax bill in which the property value decreases using the recommended millage rate of 17.631 mills. The total estimated school maintenance and operation tax reduces down to $1,285.25. So if there's a reduction in your fair market value of your property, your estimated tax bill for the school board M&O tax has a reduction. This concludes the presentation on the school millage rate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. As I stated at the beginning of the meeting, this is a public hearing, meaning that we would like to hear from the public. So if anyone would like to speak on the millage rate, is anyone here to speak on the millage rate? Okay, Ms. Maggioroni?
I am Beth Maggioroni, and am speaking today as a taxpayer and a retired educator. Taxpayers across the city are being potentially misled by most on the Savannah-Chatham School Board into thinking that the fiscal year 24 school board budget approved by the board isn't increasing their taxes because the school board isn't asking for a millage rate increase. The school system budget is based on two numbers or levers that work together to create an increase in the school board budget: the property tax increase due to inflation and the change in millage rate. To keep property taxes the same for all of us as what we paid last year, the school board should be requesting a full rollback of what's called the millage rate, which would balance out the fact that our property values have increased by approximately 10% due to inflation. Fortunately, the state property taxpayer Bill of Rights requires the school board to advertise this lack of a rollback as a tax increase and hold 3 public meetings, today being the third of these, to protect the taxpayers from being misled by this backdoor property tax increase that might be missed when the school board only talks about the millage rate change. By not rolling back the millage rate, the proposed tax increase for a home with fair market value of $250,000 is approximately $157 more per year than last year. You can do the math to figure out your own house value and what that means in dollars. While the impact of this decision to not roll back the millage rate impacts all citizens of Chatham County, most hard hit are the fixed and low-income residents, whether you are a property owner or not. If you rent, the impact gets passed on to you by your landlord by raising your rent. As an example, for many school board members, employees who live paycheck to paycheck and are promised a 5% cost of living increase within the proposed fiscal year budget, ironically, part of their salary increase will be eaten up by the property tax increase needed to fund their own raises. Further, school board members who voted to approve the budget recently tried to support their refusal to roll back the millage rate by suggesting that because other school districts have higher millage rates, Savannah-Chatham County is underfunded. What they don't tell you is that the millage rate must be higher in many other counties across the state, as their property values haven't increased as much as those in this resort area. For historical background, in 2021, the school board requested a full rollback. In 2022, a partial rollback. In 2023, they are proposing no rollback of the millage rate at all. We, the taxpayers, demand a full rollback of the millage rate this year to keep our property taxes from increasing. Taxpayers, please take note of who votes to approve maintaining the current millage rate today and vote them out at the next school board election next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Shogay?
Thanks. First of all, welcome, Dr. Watts. I think you're going to be the game changer we've been looking for. No, I'm sure of it. I know this budget is large and complex, and you might consider what I'm going to say simplistic, but it's the approach that households everywhere are having to take right now, and you should too. So I kind of got into the weeds, and I took a look at one small budget expense, travel. So in this age of Zoom and Google Meet, why did Ann Levette spend $20,666 on travel expenses in 2022? A few others from 2022, which is the latest complete year available. Tammy Perkins, Transportation, $4,681. Derek Dozier Muhammad, a principal, $6,062. Patricia Young, Food Service, $2,502. Tanja Brune, Technology Specialist, $3,607. Arlisha Wildman, IS Personnel Support, $5,082. The next four are all from the Finance Department. Larry Jackson, $4,406. Rosalind Nathaniel, $5,008. Sabrina Scales, $4,285. Teresa Seeley, $4,614. Just a few more. Amy Perry, listed as a CTA Superintendent, $8,498. Bernadette Ball Oliver, Associate Superintendent, $10,126. This is far from a comprehensive list. In fact, I have the entire list here. This is front and back, by the way. Anybody's welcome to have it that wants it. And the names that were stated, they're not an allegation of wrongdoing, but it's an indictment against a system that has allowed large travel budgets to become institutionalized. You know, there's not that much to be gained from an expensive conference that you can't learn from a video or a manual or a Zoom meeting. And if distance learning was good enough for our students, then it's good enough for SCC PSS employees. And one other issue, briefly, y'all purchased electric school buses with a partial subsidy from federal government taxpayers. I don't know if many people know that subsidy was conditional on making the buses inoperable by driving a metal rod through the engine block. I would suggest that's not a good steward of the resources we entrusted to you. You know, if the purpose of EV buses is to reduce carbon emissions, then why do we have all the travel allowances listed above? It seems a tad hypocritical to me. Additionally, those buses could have been sold or saved for backup or even given away to some needy organizations around the city. Perhaps the city could have saved them for hurricane evacuation. So in closing, this body expects taxpayers to make sacrifices to their budgets when a limited, cursory examination of your budget shows some areas of what I think are indefensible waste. And in response to some of the lower value for homes, we all know that Savannah had few, if any, homes that had their lower value lowered. Please roll back the millage rate. Thank you.
Okay, Clinton Coward?
Hello, I'm Clinton Howard, and as many here, I'm a resident taxpayer. I'm also a candidate for District 3. The residents cannot incur another increase, period. Property taxes lead to higher rent, which means less affordable housing for the poverty-stricken. Higher taxes lead to poverty, which of course increases crime and homelessness. Higher taxes mean higher lease rates for office spaces and stores, which hurts small businesses. Higher taxes are a burden on the people, now due to the inflation that we've incurred from the pandemic. The residents cannot take another hit. Most of the money from the property taxes goes to the school system, which already have a budget approaching almost $1 million. And in producing students which can't even read on any grade level, much less balance their own checkbook. We're all about virtue signaling. We're all about building new construction, fancy buildings, computer terminals, but we still use the same methods and approach to delivering a knowledge repository to the students that has failed time and time again. The residents cannot handle another increase upon the millage rate. The residents of this entire city need a rollback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Kathleen, and I can't read your last name. I'm so sorry.
I'm not going to be speaking.
Okay, thank you. All right. And there's more. Tony Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I would like to, my name is Tony Riley. I'm a resident of Chatham County. I live at 614 East Warborough Street over in the 2nd District. First of all, I'd like to concur with the first speaker and the second speaker. Probably fell on deaf ears, but I do believe what they said is the paramount reasons for a rollback. So, I'm here today to express my disappointment with this board's decision for the third time raising taxes or the millage rate. It's essentially a taxation without representation because we have so many non-public institutions in this city whose parents are paying these taxes for the public school system that they're not getting a direct benefit. I think that the board president's vote of no on this tax increase was the right thing to do, and so we probably need some additional new members of this board so that we can have some folk that think like he's thinking, and hopefully our new school superintendent is along those lines. So moreover, what we have here is essentially a raid on the taxpayers and homeowners, and we need to stop this raid immediately. I know you all have probably made your decisions in your mind, and we're just going through a formality here, but I don't know if this is an election year for some of these board members, but as the lady before me stated, it's probably time for some change. So with the rising cost of home ownership and property values, any tax increase will give the board much more money than they already need. I need you all to be a little more innovative. We have these new schools that have been built. I see no solar power plants at any of these facilities, and even in any of the old facilities. You know, that's what's going on now, if you all hadn't noticed. And there are incentives for institutions and buildings that are now adding solar power to save on energy. Also, I would like to say that according to Zillow, home values index in Savannah has increased 10%, which was already stated from 2022. Pricing of the average home value is $287,974 as of May 2023. The average value of a home in Savannah north of the historic district comes to around $528,239,000, which is $143,851 higher than Atlanta,
I'm sorry.
Georgia.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you. And so 2022 data from Pew
Thank you, sir.
Research Center.
Sir, you've run out of time.
That was 5 minutes.
No, it's 3 minutes.
I was certain. I apologize because what I just read said that there was a 5-minute time period for this.
All right.
So thank y'all very much for your time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I see the rest of my other 3 minutes. Somebody else.
All right. Denise Floja.
Hello, my name's Denise Flojo. I hadn't really planned to speak here today, and I think most of what I would say has already been said. However, let me put a face on what taxes are today. My assessment went up 161% this year, and I double-checked, I called. So my taxes have basically doubled. They were $200 short of doubling. That 10% means a lot to someone who's a recent widow. I really believe that we can find the money in other ways, and when your assessment goes up so much and your taxes go up so much, I implore you to really think about that millage rate and how important it is to people like myself and neighbors of mine who are, over 70 and depend on, that homestead exemption's the only thing keeping them in their house. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much for all of you for coming out today. I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Oh, yes. Please come up to the mic. It's okay.
Basics. My husband and I have lived in our house for 46 years. And, when you get a mortgage, you have interest, you have the principal, you have the insurance, you have the taxes. Well, we paid for our house. But our property tax now is what we essentially paid all those years ago. Basically, we figure we will have a mortgage the rest of our life, because now it's in property taxes instead of a mortgage. And when you get to our ages, you have dental, medical, all these other, and your house maintenance. My house, my kitchen is the original house in it, and I love it. I wouldn't want a dishwasher and all that fancy stuff. I'm very content, but whatever you can do to help property owners, we love living in this city. This is the most beautiful city in the world to me, but I talk too much. Thank you for listening, and I agree so much with.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Mr. Moss, can we honor her comments by getting her name?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. What's your name?
Sandy Everett.
Sandy Everett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you now requesting a motion to
Yes.
adjourn?
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? And the vote is 9-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out.